Okay, so let's understand buffer reader and writer. So let's open buffer reader. Buffer reader is kind of a abstraction on your reader. It could be file reader and file writer, and on top of your file input and output, sorry, input stream. If I talk about reader, similar way buffer reader is abstraction on your writer, uh, and that is also abstraction on your file output stream. Okay, so internally it uses file input stream and file output stream concept, but it is very much efficient if I use buffer reader. Okay, that is helpful to read and write, right? Getting the whole text. When I say well, the whole text, you can read line by line and write into the file line by line. Okay, so let's create one method, private static simple read and write using buffer. Okay, so here I will give two files similar way, and I will write in the similar way. Okay, so here the output is, sorry, return type is void. Now similar structure, try, finally if required I will throw the exception. So let's create buffer reader, that is reader, say null. Okay, and let's create buffer writer. Okay, now here and finally if, because we need to close those reader and writer, we will say if reader not equal to null, then reader dot close, and if writer not equal to null, then writer dot close. Okay, now throw the exception from the method level. Now let's read the file using reader. We will say reader is equal to new buffer reader, and here I need to pass the reader. So I can use file reader, or I can use input stream reader, file input stream reader. So what I'm going to use here, I will use new file reader, and file I will pass to read. Similar way, I will say while I will use as a string line. Okay, while line equal to reader dot read line. Here you can test the whole line. This, that's reason it is very much efficient, and we have to read that line till it is not null. In case of byte stream and the character stream, we checked the end of file by using the int and saying that not equal to -1. Here we will say not equal to null by reading the lines. Then what we need to do, we need to write into that file. So we'll use writer dot write line. Okay, so we'll use a write and pass this string into that. line. So here it may cause null pointer exception. So we have to, oh, we have not created the writer. So we have to create the writer. So writer is new buffered writer and say new file writer and to write. This is the file name I have to give. Now my program is almost ready. So let's run it. So what I did, I just created reader and writer and reading the line by line from this file the source file using buffer reader and writing into destination file using file buffer writer. Let's call this method in main. So read write using buffer source file. I will give this one and destination file again file test file.java. Okay, let's remove this. Now let's run it. Okay, I have run this because there is nothing to print. Let's go to file, refresh it, and say the content. See, here the file has been written into a single line. Okay, that is not the way I should do it. So, what I will do after writing one line, I will write one new line slash n. Okay, let's run it. Let's see the content. Okay, now my file is as it is a source file. Okay, let's try to do some, let's try to play with the content of this file. So we have read text file read write.java and written into test file.java. Okay, now I want to write into test file.java in a way that the longest line should be on top. Okay, longest line should be on top and shortest line should be on bottom. So if you take a look on this file, sorry, take a look on source file. So longest line could be, I think this one. Okay, so it is around 85, 75 character. Okay, so let's read this file line by line and write into a test file in such a way that the longest line should be on top and shortest line should be on bottom. Let's do that. So what I need to do, first I need to collect all the lines from by reading this source file, then arrange them in a order and then write into that destination file. Okay, so what I will do, I will not write at this time. If I read it, I will just put into one collection. I will create some sorts of line. So I will create one class called line and it has just content. Okay, private string content. Okay, and I will use one constructor so that I will pass this content through parameter. I will say this dot content is equal to content. I'm not going to write any getter setter because that is not needed. So here I will implement comparable so that I can compare two lines based on their length. So I have say override compare to and returning this dot content dot sorry this dot content dot length. We have to do in decreasing order, so we will say o dot content dot length minus this dot content dot length. So this is my comparable class. Okay, so let's create one list. List will have line. We will say lines is equal to new array list. Let's import. Okay, now instead of writing just now, I will collect into the collection. So I will say lines dot add new line and pass this content, that is line. Okay, and right. So I have just added into that line. Now my lines are ready. After the while loop, after the end of while loop, my lines are ready. So I will do collections dot sort line. Okay, my lines are sorted here. Now I am going to write these lines into file. So what I will do, I will create one enhanced file for loop, that is line, and we will say lines. Okay, here it is duplicate. So let's take another variable. So line content, and that is using enhanced loop. I need to give the collection name here, that is lines. Let's write it now. So let's use writer dot write string. String is nothing but here content dot, oh, I need to make this one. I need to create one getter here because setting I am doing through constructor, but getter is not available. That's reason I cannot use it. So let's create getter for that. So I will use get content. Okay. Now let's go to that place. So content dot get content and write a new line after each line. Okay. So now let's run it. So I have run this program. Let's see the content test file.java. Okay, so let's see on top. So on top, this is the content which is written on top. So that is private. Okay, if you see here, it has been written in such a way that it is in decreasing order of the length. Okay, let's open this file into some other editor. Let's take the property, the location of this file, and go to other editor and open it. Okay, so here if you see, this is this has been written in such a way that all the lines are in decreasing order of their length. Okay, so this is what we will put into uh, file. This is we will write into the file. So here what we have done, we have read the file, we have collected all the lines from the source file and combine into a collection, then sort the collection based on the length of the content, and then return back to a destination file. Okay, so this is how buffer reader and writer works. So you can take in case of buffer reader, you can read from the console. Right here we are like we are reading here from the file source file. Like that you can read from console and you can write into a file. Okay, so it's not necessary whenever you read you write it. It's based on the use case. Sometimes you just need to read it, sometimes you just need to write from some source into some destination file. Okay, that's all about file handling in Java. So what we have covered the capabilities of file object, file class. So then we have gone through that, understanding all type of input stream reader and output stream reader. We gone through file input stream and output stream. We talked about reader and writer. We talked about buffer reader and writer. Okay, so that's all about file handling. In the next session, I will explain about uh, Java threading. So Java threading is very important concept. It is used when we are trying to do the multiple execution of the programs. You can say that execution of multiple programs at the same time. Okay, so where you will get maximum CPU utilization. Okay, so that way multiple program can run in parallel. So that is the place where your thread programming comes into picture. Okay, so I will explain in detail about thread handling and thread programming in Java.